4. When I got Eddie back to Grandma's yard, I talked him into going into the shed and getting that bike and box for me. He came out of the shed pushing the bike with the box resting on the seat, all the while grinning like it was the best bike in the world. He didn't seem to notice the rusted handlebars, the once white wicker basket that was half on, half off, and the loose chain. "You teach me?" he signed and pointed to the bike. "No," I signed back, since I didn't know the first thing about teaching someone to ride a bike. "Daddy will teach you later." Eddie shook his head, shaking loose a cobweb stuck in his hair. "Daddy gone. Daddy all the time gone." I couldn't argue with that. This time, Daddy'd been gone 6 months. Time before that, it was 3 months. But each time he came back. I knew he'd come back this time too. Still, I couldn't explain all that to Eddie, so I just said, "We need to clean the bike up first and see if it can be fixed before anybody rides it." Eddie nodded like usual. I picked up the little faded gold box from the bicycle seat. I could tell it was my mama's handwriting that once wrote her name and Daddy's inside the heart. It made my heart feel bad. Wonder if Mama might still think she and Daddy belong inside the same heart. I sat down beside the shed, just looking at that dang box for the longest time, like I expected it to talk to me or something. I couldn't bring myself to open it. Eddie sat down next to me. "What's in it?" he signed. I shrugged, and a sign everyone understood. Eddie reached for the box and opened it. Inside, there were envelopes, stacks and stacks of old, yellowed envelopes, all with my mama's name written in my daddy's handwriting. A jumble of feeling raced inside me, trying to be felt at the same time. I felt sneaky, like I shouldn't look at my mama's letters without my daddy, knowing they weren't written for my eyes. I felt happy to find something from my daddy when I was missing him so much. I felt sad that yellowed old letters were all I had to make me happy about my daddy. Eddie just peeked under the envelopes and shrugged in disappointment. He dropped the box and went back to see about fixing the bike. "Help me fix," he signed. I tucked the box back inside the shed, planning to return when Eddie wasn't around. We went inside Grandma's house to get some rags to clean the bike. The house smelled better for sure, but I could tell Mama wasn't feeling any better about it. And other than the crazy messed up house, Grandma still seemed okay to me. I kept holding on to the hope that we'd be able to go back to Columbus, where I wouldn't have to hold yellowed letters to think of Daddy, and he could teach Eddie to ride a bike and teach me everything else he hadn't taught me yet. Sure, we gave the landlord notice and had a yard sale selling every single item that represented home to us, but I kept thinking we would head back north just as soon as Mama came to the rational conclusion that Grandma was fine. After cleaning that bike and finally fitting that chain back where it belonged, I tried to teach Eddie how to ride. Of course, as soon as Eddie realized he wasn't going to learn to ride it in a few minutes, he was bored with trying and went right back to his plate that he needed no lessons to drive. While he drove his plate up and down the sidewalk in front of Grandma's house, I rode the old bike up and down the bumpy road, bouncing up and down, each time going a little farther than the last. On my longest spin of the street, I went around the corner and all the way up to Grandma's church, the only church in Rainbow. Up in Ohio, we had all kinds of churches around us. We had a Catholic church, a Baptist church, and even a Methodist church. But there's only one church in this little town. I wasn't really looking for a kid my age to play with as I rode around, since it didn't matter to me at all, what with us not staying for so long. But if I was looking, I would have seen only one kid out at all, and I couldn't tell if it was a boy kid or a girl kid. I could tell the hair was short and messy, making me think it was a boy, but there was something kind of girlish to make me wonder. By the time I got back from that spin up the street, I realized I must have been gone for longer than I thought, because in front of Grandma's house were two kids, definitely boys, stopped on their own bikes. I could tell one of them was yelling at Eddie, who, of course, wasn't hearing any of it. As I got close, I heard the boy shout, "I asked you what you was doing with that plate. Y'all stupid or something? Answer me." When I heard those words, I pedaled my bike so fast the old brakes couldn't stop me soon enough. My bike ran smack into the bike of the boy not yelling, and I knocked both of us down. The yeller thought this was hysterical and burst out laughing. "Guess they're all stupid," he said. The boy I ran into was smaller than the one yelling. He got up, brushing himself off as I stood up too. He reached out to my bike and I yelled, "Don't touch it." And then I turned to the yeller and yelled right back, "And you, don't say that about my brother. He's deaf, but he's a lot smarter than you." By this time, Eddie was aware of something going on, and he was standing next to us waving, like he was happy to meet new friends. I signed to him, "Go up to the porch. These guys are not nice." I picked up the old bike and began to walk away, but not before hearing the tall kid say, "Man, it's a family of freaks. Just what the neighborhood needs." The other one said something too, but I tuned them both out. My eyes stung with anger, and the tears I was holding in. I stomped to the porch and dropped the bike so fast, the just fixed chain fell back off. Eddie followed me, and I saw in his eyes that he was waiting for me to explain, but I was so mad. I couldn't sign to him. I just shook my head and sat down the porch swing. But I've never been able to hide my feelings from Eddie. It's like because he can't hear, he can see things better. "Why you mad?" he signed. "I am mad," I answered with my hands, "because Rainbow is stupid. Moving is stupid, and everyone is stupid." As if the day wasn't bad enough, the sign for stupid is a fist up against your forehead, and when I signed it 3 times, being so stinking mad, I actually smacked myself in the head too hard, and it hurt. My brother thought that was the funniest thing in the world and started doing his own exaggerated stupid sign, pretending to fall over excuse me, when he hit his head. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I had to smile. Eddie's movement made the swing back and forth, and I began to relax a bit. I took a deep breath and recognized the smell of Mama's chicken and dumplings coming from the house. I was just about to suggest to Eddie that we go inside to see if supper was ready when I heard the crunch of footsteps coming from the backyard. It was Grandma walking toward the sidewalk in front of the house. She was in her nightgown. Something told me she wasn't heading to a slumber party, and I just knew more bad news was about to pour down on us and Rainbow.